Hey guys, this is Sandeep from RevAtlas and this is episode number 2 in our Ask RevAtlas series of Q&A videos. Without much further ado, let's get this started. So the first question is from Neeraj. So he himself has asked 3 different questions, and the first one is, do you think that the notch will be there on Android devices for the next 2 to 3 years? And the answer for that I think is yes, sadly yes. The second question he has asked is end of single rear camera setup in Android devices. I don't think it's the end yet. I think that a lot of low-end devices will still continue to have it, a single camera setup, and even high-end devices, the Pixel that I'm using here, it still has a single camera setup. Maybe the Pixel 2 might have a dual camera setup, but even then it'll take some time for most of the Android devices to shift to the dual lens thing, if at all. Third, will Honor overtake Xiaomi for the mid-range smartphone market in India? I don't think so, no. I think there was a brief period where it did seem like they would, considering that they launched the 9i, 7X and the 9 Lite, all great phones at that price. But then the 5 Pro came along and everything just changed. Next is from Deepu. Can we do insurance for mobile which is bought in Saudi? So I'm not really sure about that. Perhaps I can get back to you in the comment section. If you leave a comment, I'll try, taking the conversation forward from there. So Siddhant has asked, how you guys managed to get review units being a channel which is in its initial state? So the answer is a bit complex, I guess, and maybe not complex at the same time. So RevAtlas is still small in the larger scheme of things, and we don't have as many subscribers as many other YouTube channels, or we may not have as big a following as many other websites out there. But I've been in this industry for quite a long time, I think over 10 years now, and as a result there are many people out there, both brands and PR, who know me, who know what I'm capable of, and who especially know what RevAtlas is capable of in the long term, and that is probably the reason why we get review units already. Shenoy has asked 3 questions. Number 1, there are a lot of tech review channels on YouTube. Why should one watch your videos? How do you differentiate? So I think the answer to that is pretty simple. Quality over the visuals, over the audio, over the content, over almost everything. That's what we emphasize on. For us, quality is number 1. Providing unbiased reviews also is the other thing, and I think that resonates with our videos itself. I don't think that's something that we need to go and tell people this is what we do and this is why we should watch. I think once they see our video, they'll get the idea of what we are about, what RevAtlas is about, and where we're headed from there. Making his second question is making YouTube content been profitable yet? So no, it's not become profitable. We obviously have a lot of investment in this particular company and the YouTube channel itself, a lot of equipment and stuff that we have invested in. So it's not turned out to be profitable yet, but we are seeing returns slowly. It may take a while, I'm not sure how long, but eventually hopefully we will turn around a profit. Why did you start RevAtlas? Motivation behind it? That's something I think we covered in the previous Q&A video, so you can probably check that out. One of the readers or viewers had actually asked that, and I think I did give an explanation on that, and it actually goes along the points of quality and the other stuff that I mentioned in the first question itself. So Satish has asked, what's your take on Sony's new flagship 960 fps super slow motion in full HD? Your thoughts? So that's actually an interesting question, and considering that Samsung is actually heroing their slow motion 960 fps, although it's not in full HD, it's only at 720p. It's really interesting that Sony has full HD of the same thing, and earlier the issue was that they didn't have an automatic mode like Samsung has now, or like their new phones has now. You needed to be very precise on when you press the shutter button in order to kind of get that slow motion exactly where you want it. So that was a big hurdle that they had, but considering that that is gone, I think the quality should be much better than what Samsung has. But the issue that Sony has right now is that the rest of the phone doesn't seem to be as good or as interesting as Samsung's Galaxy S9 devices. So just having 960 fps full HD slow motion, I don't think that'll be a key factor for them to sell units more than Samsung. But it's definitely an interesting feature. If that's the main feature that you're looking for, perhaps that could be your deciding factor when getting a phone. But otherwise, I don't think it'll really tip anyone's scales and make them get the Sony. So Rajesh has asked, what are your thoughts about the Asus Zenfone 5 and what's the expected price and launch in India? Lots of love and take care, buddy, because health is wealth. So thank you very much for your wishes. And as for the Zenfone 5, it seems like an interesting device. I'm not a fan of the notch, honestly speaking. They did make fun of Apple at the event, saying that their notch is smaller, but essentially they didn't need to have a notch. They just wanted to jump on the bandwagon and kind of seem like they're doing something innovative, which isn't really true. But other than the notch itself, the device seems really interesting. I'm not sure about the launch or the price, or just exactly how the device will be. We usually refrain from talking about devices up until the time we have tested it. So once we test it, we'll let you know how it is and give you more details about the phone itself. Animesh has asked, what is your monthly income? Something you can't reveal, I guess. Indicoder has asked, from where did you learn videography, or are you a self-learner? And the answer to that is actually a bit of both, I think. I mean, I have done a course on filmmaking, digital filmmaking. I have done a course on that. My degree is in that. But I started off with photography long time back, maybe 15 years or so. And my journey started there. Most of it was self-taught, and I reached a point where I understood that I need to know more and get really serious about it. So I thought that maybe doing a degree on it would help me become more serious. And the degree itself, while it didn't drastically change my viewpoints, or while it didn't drastically hone my skills, it still helped me kind of get to a place where I could channelize all my efforts. So it did help a bit, but I would say most of my skill set is still self-taught. But what I did get from the degree course is essentially information on how the industry itself works, the video making, the filmmaking industry, how that works, and that also helps a bit. He also asked, why did you leave your past job? And the answer again was given in a previous video. And the reason I left my past job was the reason why RevAtlas was started. So RevAtlas was started because of certain things I couldn't do in my past job, and that is there in the previous video, so please do check that out. So Anand Sharma has asked, how are you now, and what is the status of the dbrand thing. So I'm better. I'm much better now. That's why I'm making videos again. Not 100% fine yet, but much better than before. Dbrand thing is still in its initial stages. We'll give you guys an update once it does materialize. He has also asked, since Mi, Asus, Moto, Honor, Nokia fighting in the mid-range, providing 18:9 dual camera, EIS and other features bringing to mid-range, do you think brands will focus more on budget segment over premium? Yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, the mid-range devices or the budget segment is what earns these companies money. So the premium segment like the Pixels or the S9 and all that, they don't constitute the bulk of the sales. In terms of units, they may be less, but the margins are much higher. So of course they have to focus on the mid-range, especially in a country like India. The mid-range segment is what they have to focus most on, and that's what they will do, especially for brands such as the ones you mentioned. So Techie Kanch has asked, is it worth buying the iPhone 7 Plus over the Redmi Note 5 Pro just because of the camera? Please answer. I'm very confused if I should spend my money or save them. So it's actually a very difficult question to answer. I think if you look at a comparison between the iPhone 10 and the Redmi Note 5 Pro, you'll see that photo wise it's actually much better in many cases, except low light. So I think the 7 Plus would be more or less of the same story. Low light may not be much better on the Note 5 Pro, but for daylight situations and for portrait mode, I think 5 Pro will still be better. But if you come to the low light and the video aspects, 7 Plus will still be better. So depending on what you prefer, I think that's what you should make a decision on. Krunal has asked, any idea about Zenfone 5 launch date, pricing, etc., and whether we can get a comparison between the 5 versus Note 5 Pro. So I'm not sure about the launch date nor the pricing, as I mentioned earlier. We can do a comparison provided that we have both the review units at the same time. Now we have heard some good news about gaming and camera issue. So not good news. We have heard some news about gaming and camera issues in Redmi Note 5 and Note 5 Pro. Is it correct? In my personal opinion and in my personal experience, no. I haven't had any issues with gaming or the camera or the performance so far, but I will let you guys know in case I do face any issues as well. So Nikhil has asked, as it's a well-known fact that you're killing it in the video editing game, most of the general audience, I use my phone for videos. Can you help us by making a video on something like basics of video editing or how to get the best of the video recorded by mobile? So we initially did some tutorials on how to shoot something better, selfies, videos and photos, etc. The tutorial wasn't the greatest, I guess, and we did it at a point where our subscriber base was very less. So maybe going forward in the future we might do something, but I'm not sure if editing is something that we'll be showing. We'll be more giving you options or tips on how you can best shoot a subject. Editing, I think maybe we are not the best people to talk about it. Nikhil has also asked, as your videos have a more manifested approach to them, and my second question would be, given a chance, which is the one non-Indian YouTuber you'd love to hang out with and why? I think the answer is simple, MKBHD. I mean, he's at the pinnacle, so I think it's him. Sayuri has asked, who are your favorite tech YouTubers and why? So why would be a really long list and something for a different conversation, but my favorites would probably be MKBHD, Ash Taylor, and C4E Tech. I think, yeah, those three would be my favorites. Now, Shahabuddin has asked, what camera do you use and which software for editing your videos? So we use a Sony FS5, that's the one is currently recording this video as well, and we use Premiere Pro for editing our videos. He has also asked, which is your primary and secondary smartphone in daily life? So primary smartphone is the Google Pixel 2 XL and secondary smartphone is the iPhone 10. So Ayush has asked, when do you guys plan to do a behind the scenes video? Would love to know how you shoot. So we don't really want to give a behind the scenes video, but we do have a lot of behind the scenes content in terms of photos, videos, and stuff like that we plan to incorporate over our social media handles, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and you can even join our Telegram group where we do a lot of behind the scenes content. We'll include links for the social media handles and the Telegram group in the link in the description below. So Prashant has asked, features like tall display, dual cameras, dual speakers, etc. now coming to mid-range smartphones, but AMOLED display are still not coming in 15K segment. Any specific reason? So I think it all boils down to the cost. So changing the aspect ratio of a display doesn't really increase the cost per se, but actually changing the display technology itself will definitely change the cost of the phone. So that's probably the main reason why smartphone makers are trying to avoid that. So essentially people want more features at a lower price. So some people don't even know the difference between an LCD and AMOLED. So for them, it doesn't really matter if you give them an LCD or AMOLED, as long as the rest of the specifications and features take all the right boxes. And that's what they're perhaps doing right now. Davidson has asked, when is Mi 6X releasing in China and Mi A2 releasing in India? I have no idea about both. Sorry. Karthikeyan has asked, which video gear are you using now? OnePlus 6 will have a notch. Which application are you using for editing photos? So video gear, as I said, Sony FS5. Application for editing photos is Photoshop, and OnePlus 6 will have a notch. I think pretty much yes. I mean, judging from all the leaks that have come so far, I think so. Mrinal, how many people are there in RevAtlas team? Also, what according to you will be pricing of Zenfone 5 in India? How to buy a Redmi Note 5 Pro? I don't know the answer to the second two questions. I myself have been trying to get a Redmi Note 5 Pro. I haven't been able to do so. I don't know the pricing of the Zenfone 5 nor the release date. In RevAtlas, there are three different people, as I mentioned in the previous video. There is a finance guy, there is Amrit, who is standing here behind the camera, and then there is me. Rohan has asked, ever experience after sales service of Xiaomi? My experience was very bad. I've heard that from many people, that the after sales service is pretty bad from Xiaomi and many other brands that too, but I've also heard good stories about these brands. I personally haven't had experience with Xiaomi themselves, but I guess it depends from person to person, and sorry to hear that you had a bad experience. So Bandhan has asked, do you think AI is becoming more of a marketing term these days? Even something as simple as an auto brightness sensor is becoming called an AI feature, and please don't get me started on those AI cameras. I definitely agree. It's something like the full vision display or edge-to-edge display or whatever. So essentially what makers are doing nowadays is giving an 18:9 aspect ratio display and calling it bezel-less. That isn't the case. The bezels are becoming smaller, but it's not truly bezel-less. Truly bezel-less smartphones would be like the iPhone 10 or the Mi Mix or even the Galaxy S9 Plus, which isn't truly bezel-less, but the bezels are quite minimal. So simply by changing the aspect ratio, I mean, even this has an 18:9 aspect ratio display, but I wouldn't call it bezel-less. Bezels are huge on all four sides. So they are actually misinforming people, but then that's what they have been doing for all this while. I mean, if you would remember back in the days of Nokia, the megapixel race was still on. People expected that more megapixels meant more higher quality in terms of images, and that isn't really true. So that was kind of going on for a while, the megapixel war, and then it stopped, and then it became more about the cores, number of cores, in the smartphones, in the RAM and stuff like that. So there'll always be things that they use to fool customers into buying their phones, and sadly AI, as well as the display ratio and all these things are part of it. AI itself is something that needs to be developed a lot over the coming years, and it'll be maybe 2-3 years at least before we see any real use case or any proper implementation of AI in the proper sense of the word. So the last question, okay, I'm finding it a bit difficult to pronounce your first name, so I'll pronounce your second name, Nani. He has asked, from now or next year will you go to cover CES, MWC, IFA, etc.? So we wanted to cover MWC. Sadly, we didn't get any sponsors for it. It also doesn't make sense, not enough return on investment if we spend it ourselves and go there, cover everything and come back. But like you asked, hopefully we would be able to go cover the same and all these events that you mentioned in the future, maybe starting from IFA 2018 itself. And yeah, that's about it. I don't know whether we'll go for sure, but we are definitely planning to if we can do it. So that's it for this video, guys. I hope we have answered all of your questions. If you have any further questions or require any further clarifications to any of these, do mention in the comment section below. And that's it. We are planning to do this on a monthly basis. If there's a need for a bi-monthly video or episode at any time, then we'll do that. But other than that, that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. See you again in the next one.